Okay, hello, welcome back to Zoink TV. I'm Andrew Weir, and this is a tutorial on how to paint textures on Photoshop CS6 and using Blender 2.69. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff towards the end of the video that I hope you'll stick around for because it could be really useful. But right now we'll just focus on the tutorial, and I just wanted to thank you first for helping me get to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. I haven't made any videos recently. Apart from the painted texture one, which is going to link to this one. So there's loads of links in the description, but the first one should be the old speed art that I made. Basically, it's got some basic modelling in there. You can follow other tutorials for the modelling. And then this tutorial is how I painted the texture. So really this is kind of a beginner's Photoshop lesson, but we're going to link it to 3D. So, there's hardly any 3D in here, but what we're going to do is Shift A, add a cube, move that over there, Shift A, add another cube, and move over there. So one of these is going to be essentially what the house was, and the other one's going to be, well, a wooden plank. And then, actually I'll might as well go all the way in to make another one, make another one, and make that one a rock, exactly how I did with my other textures. So I'm going to do some painting. Hopefully it won't take too long to do, but I'm going to teach you everything that I know about painted textures and how I did my other ones. It's not going to be the best standard of painted textures because the first one that I made in my previous video is actually the first time that I've tried that style. So people still wanted a tutorial, so I hope it still helps, but just appreciate that it's not the best standard of paint textures. And then at the end of the video we will look at the best standard, because I've got a lot of examples online which you might want to look at to find out how you want to paint it as well. So this one here is a rock. It's actually like a slab, so I've squashed it a little bit on the Z-axis. This one's going to be a press Shift X to scale it down. It's going to be a plank. Shift X, scale it on the X as well. And I'll just make it a little bit flatter than that because it's a plank. And a little bit bigger so that we can see what's going on there. And let me just rotate the screen. And this one's the house, so I'm going to scale it on the Y-axis a little bit. Scale it on the Z maybe, just to get kind of a thin house shape like I had when I made the speed art. And I'll scale that up as well. We'll move that kind of above the grid. So this isn't exactly how I made my house. Obviously I made it all in one shape, and you can see how I made it in speed art. But if I wanted to join these together, then it'll just basically represent some low poly stuff on how I did it. So let's press Ctrl J to get them joined together. Press Tab to move into edit mode, and now I'm going to select some edges. To get to edge select mode, even though I'm already in it, I press Shift Tab, or is it Control Tab? Yeah, Control Tab, and that gives us a quick way to switch between them, and we want it on edge mode. So we're just unwrapping multiple cubes, so press Shift and Alt on a Mac to do that, to select multiple things. Or just Shift and click actually, yeah that's right. And what we're going to do is cut off the top like that, cut off the bottom as well, and then it should just open up, but you need an extra cut there as well, because then that'll allow you to unwrap that properly. So again, that's 3 off the top, 3 on the bottom. You should know how to unwrap a cube, but this is how it's done. And then 1 on the side. Same with this one, we'll go call that the top and the bottom. Cut off like that. And that should be good. So now I press Ctrl E for the edge select options, and we'll go mark seam. I'll just quickly tab out and press, I think it's Ctrl A, yeah, Ctrl A for the apply scale, which basically just applies the new scale of the new objects that we've got. Because if I undo that and I press Alt S, then it's going to move it to the scale that Blender thinks it is. And as you can see, that's not quite right. It's made that back into a cube. So I can undo that. And it's really weird, but that means we have to just press Control A and apply the scale. And now when I press Alt S, this is the new scale. A little bit hard to understand, but it makes sense to me now, and it's just a bit confusing, but just remember to press that. And we're going to press A for unwrap, A for select all, U for unwrap, and that should be that done. So we'll see what the UV map looks like by dragging that to the side, change this to the UV image editor, and go into edit mode. So that's what we have there. I'm just going to change it up a little bit because it's not quite right. So that's the house there, kind of taking up the biggest area because it's the biggest object. But let's go ahead and change that. I don't know why it's so... Oh yeah, but it's stuck on the grid. Move that there. This is really small, this rock, so we'll just try and fill it into this area here. Scale that up. And I'm okay with that. It's not using the full area that it should, but that's how it's going to be. And then we can go to the UVs, export the UV layout, put it to my desktop. I'll just call it unwrap. Export that to my desktop, and then I will go to Photoshop. Excuse me. Alright, I want to go to, yeah, that's Photoshop. And I will go new, and we're going to make this really, quite a high quality one. I would usually do 2048, but it's only a painted texture. So I'm going to go 1024, which is the original size. Which is half of 2048. So that's how it should be, that's a complete square, which is exactly the size which the export should have been. And I'm going to drag the export in. Drag the unwrap into Photoshop. And there it is. So that's what we got there. And what I did in the tutorial is, to be a little bit neat, I used the Polygon Lasso tool, and because I didn't have the perfect shapes, even though these are just, I could choose squares to go around these, I didn't want them going into each other, the colours, so I could select around these. You could just use the Magic Wand tool, select inside, but then you get a little bit of a problem with the edges because they're a different colour. So that way it's fairly quick, and you can just do it like that. We're going to make a new layer and go underneath the unwrap. And since this here is the rock, I'm going to get a little bit of a... oh, that's a bit weird. Not how it is on Windows. I'm going to get I think a rock colour, so we're going to go grey. And it's going to be slightly... I'm just going to get a slightly blue-grey colour, which I'm going to use to then use the bucket tool to add that in. So that's in the gradients, get the bucket tool, and I've got a slightly bluey-grey colour there. And I'm going to then make a new layer, take that down, get a new polygon select, because when you actually get the texture, they should all be very close together. So I'll just select that. With your new colour, which is wood, so I'm going to go for more of a brown colour down here towards, until I get the colour that I want, which needs to be a little bit less saturated. And somewhere towards the darker brown colour, or red. So bring the saturation down. Looks pretty good to me. This isn't how your colours should be laid out, because when I'm using my laptop at home, it looks a little bit different to that, which is why it threw me off a little bit. But yeah, that looks like a good colour for my wood. And finally, it's going to go over here. And this is the wall. I decided to make the wall kind of a really low saturated yellow colour. So that should be somewhere over here. Maybe a little bit towards the green, but it's really going to be low saturation. And that's too green, so I'm going to go back towards yellow. And just get the colour that you want for it, and then we're going to use the paint bucket tool to fill that in. So use paint bucket tool, and we're going to then, and I'm switching since my mouse has just died. I'm going to switch to the Wacom tablet now, and we've got all the base colours down. So I'm going to switch to the box. My friend told me recently how to deselect the area that you've got. I think it was like Control B. Oh no, Control D. No. I'm going to go Command D for the Mac. Yeah. For Windows it should be Control D. It's Command D for Mac. I'll just deselect the box area you've got there. And basically we just start painting. And I've realised that I've actually put a new layer, so all you need to do for that is go select the whole area that you've got, right click with this, and then you should be able to layer by cut, which will separate those two layers. So now I've got layer 3 above layer 2 there. And now we just start painting. So we get the colour that we want, which the colour, you press B for brush, and then we're going to select the brush that we want. So I'm going to go for the one that a lot of people seem to use for their when they're painting big, landscape paintings or whatever. They seem to go for like one of the chalk brushes. So I'm going to look out for that, as it seems to be in a different position. This is the one that I want, and also it fades off the light you press. So if I get the blue colour and I get rid of the unwrap and I lightly press here, then we can see that it's lighter, but then when the harder I press, we get that colour. So we kind of want to go towards the lighter presses, and what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to I'll try to get rid of that. So now around the UV, we're just going to press lightly like we did a second ago, and we're going to just look, we're going to have it, it's not going to be an exact representation of the colours because we've got like an opaque, no, we've got a translucent UV map over our colours, but we know that we're painting in the right place, and you'll trust that the colours are a bit off when we're actually painting it. So I'm going to go for a towards white colour up here, down there. Not completely white, but a lot lighter than what it was before. And what we're going to do is we're just going to paint lightly over here on the edges. I'll do it on a new layer above that, and we'll paint real lightly, bringing it in a little bit sometimes, which is what I was doing. And since that's one of the corners, we bring it along here as well. Up there. And this is a good brush size. I didn't change it. I just decided that it's quite a good brush size. But if you think that your UV map's a little bit different, then you might want to change it. And the lines don't have to be perfect. We kind of want some of the lines to be thicker and look more crazy. So I'm only doing this lightly onto it. It's not very advanced at all, but it's quite useful to know. Go down all the lines, use them as a guide, and then from that point, what I did was I added. See, we've got the effect that I had. From that point, I just kind of maybe make my brush a little bit smaller by pressing the bracket button. Might be a little bit different. I know. There we go. And I'm just going to bring a few lines in and across, just to kind of. And on the corners, we need a bit of a line going that way, just to corner off, not make it such a sharp edge. And I'm just going to draw a few lines inwards, as I was saying. One of the styles that we're looking at was actually just drawing a few bricks, which is what I think we might go with in the end, but right now we'll stick it with how I did it in the tutorial, in the speed art. And so that's how I did that, apart from then I got a darker colour. And I literally just went underneath one or two of these really slightly to make just to change it up a bit of how it, make it look a little bit less clean, I guess, because the darker colour is a bit like dirt. And I guess. And that's how it's going. So I maybe pressed a little bit too hard up there, but I don't think it'll look bad. I think it looks pretty good at some places. It's around the edges here. Not actually going into the white area, just kind of going on the outside of it. And then what I did, again with the darker colour, although maybe not so strong as those, is I also went on another layer underneath here, and I just kind of made it darker around the edges like that as well. So we can see that that's, again I painted there, so I'll go around this. Just looking at a lot of other people's work, we can see what we think looks best. And I know that this looks pretty good because it messes around with the overall colours, and people will notice it. So we see that. And now when I go to save this as PNG, save as, go to my desktop any second now. I'll just call it Untitled 1, I don't really mind. I can click that away, join area, and just give this material. I'll take it to cycles because I've been using that a lot more than Blender Render. Give it material, give it the texture over here. Image texture, open, desktop, and Untitled 1 somewhere on here. Untitled PS. Wait for it. Some other extra setting. No? Oh, I didn't save it as PNG. Right, so PNG. I'll just call it house. Okay, and go up here to Photoshop, no, back to Blender even. Refresh. And there's the house. So now I can change this to rendered mode or material mode, and we can see how that looks. So when I was actually, once I say the side looks better. Once I have a roof on there and things, that's exactly how my previous house looked, and I think it's quite a good look. I kind of just messed around a little bit, doing what I thought best, and I was saying adding in bricks, but not all the bricks, also looks pretty good. We're just trying to find an art style for my indie game company, and we're slowly getting there, and eventually we'll learn more about it. So, next we're going to go for the wood, which is probably the one that I spent the most time on, and it's probably done the most professionally. So back to Photoshop. Same brush. If I just zoom in and look over here, then I'll scale that down, bring the UVs back up, and put a layer above the wood that we've got here. So I'll scale this down even more. And I think I'll just, paint one of these or two of them. Oh yeah, I'll paint a side and a top, and I'll copy that down. And I'll just show you how it's done. So we need a dark brown colour. So I'll press Alt for my selecting the colour. Make it dark brown. Make it dark brown, and this time I'm going to change the brush from transfer to just a solid colour. So transfer makes it the lighter I press, the softer it'll be. And I'm going to go for the solid colour this time. It says it has shape dynamics on, but it doesn't. I think I might just turn that on to pen pressure, so now it gets thinner the lighter I press. And I'm going to make the brush size just a little bit bigger because I can press lighter now. And towards the end here, I drew a few. Oh yeah, the actual brush itself needs to be the correct opacity. And towards the end, I drew a few cracks that kind of get bigger there. So what I did is I draw it in like that, and it'd have maybe a line going along up there that then connects to two of them, like that. And basically, that just that's how I wanted the wood to end. I don't know really where I got that from, but I knew that I wanted bigger cracks there, which then kind of go off into these more sharp lines, and then you can add a few parts where it splits off and connects back to it. So it's basically just going off like that, and you don't want to add too many parts where it, you don't want to overdo it, but you also want to have quite a few, and they kind of all got to be within the same kind of flow. I think that kind of looks best if they all kind of follow each other, but you can have a few that are going off randomly, maybe even a few lines that kind of just don't fit in with the rest of it, but they need to get thinner as they get towards the end. So, that's kind of how it looks, and keep going with this one. And maybe not quite as neat as I did it when I was doing it, but I spent more time on it back then. And just keep going. End a few of them, maybe not all at the same point like this. So I'll continue that one. And that's basically how that bit's done. I'm going to keep doing it till I get to the end. Maybe not paying as much attention to how I want it to look if I were painting it properly. Get towards the end there, and then have the bigger cut like that. So it's really basic, but the actual tricky part that nobody does, I mean it's not tricky, it's just time consuming, and a part that you'd probably forget if you were just doing it without any tutorial, is to make a smaller brush and then actually switch to the white brown colour. So let's go over there and get kind of a light brown, whitish colour. And then what you want to do is you want to just go over underneath there. And what I was doing is when I painted it, whenever I had something going a different way, it would always be on the upside. So I would paint the white line, or the right. So it would be bottom or right even. So you don't want to paint both sides of it. You only want to paint underneath and on the right side. Again, another thing that I did, even though I didn't have dark brown lines there, is if I was going along the line, I wanted to change just a part, as I went out of it anyway, like that. I thought that looked quite nice, so that's how I did that. And again, not following this as neatly as maybe I would, and the neatness, whether it's neat or not, that might be part of the style. But for me, it's just doing it as quick as I can to get it to look pretty much okay. Because you want to do this on every side for all of them. And you can see this done in the speed art, but just having me talk over it as I do it, I guess that helps. And it definitely makes it look nicer when you've actually got the texture on. So we made it on a new layer, which means that I can just get this and use this tool to copy it. It's not going to look very good with it just being copied over and over again, but it's just so you get the idea. And then finally I'm going to use this again just to get rid of all that extra. Okay, and the final thing underneath this is something a little bit similar to what I did on the with the lighter colour there. So if I get the transfer back on here with the brush settings, if I bring transfer back and get rid of brush shape dynamics, then I can use this lighter colour which we've just been using, or maybe I'll add a new colour. Maybe I'll get that colour which is half transparent, and I'll just quickly go how I did over the edges here. So very lightly pressing, following pretty much what we did with on the corners with everything else. Maybe pressing harder on some places, lighter on others, and going over it all underneath. Not very advanced at all. I'm not really paying much time to how I'll be doing it, but you know how you want it to look, and pretty much just adding a random white edge like this adds a little bit more to it than what you already had. So as long as you just remember to add this kind of thing, or you decide you want to add something else on another layer to it, I think that looks always a bit better than it was before. So I'll finish that off. And that's that done. Maybe put a little more in here, going inwards. And that looks pretty much okay. So close that. That's how it's looking at the moment. And the final thing is the actual ends of the wood. They kind of have on this layer they have this dark brown colour we were using. If I press X to get it again, and I turn off transfer, shrink the brush, and bring up the layer again because I want to see where I'm painting. If we go all the way around the outside of there with these, because obviously on the edges it's all like that, and I find that looks pretty good. I didn't actually do it in my other one, but I knew that I kind of wanted to do it, and then maybe a few smaller ones going in if you really wanted to. Give it a little bit of stuff going on, paint it in. how you want it to be. And then that's pretty much that. It doesn't look very good there, but it will look a little bit better when we actually get to the putting it in 3D. So again, use this, just copy it across. I can't. It would be best if you did it separately, but I'm okay without doing it separately for the tutorial. And now we'll see what this looks like. So I'm going to go File, Save, save as the PNG. It was house. Save, yeah, replace it. Okay. And now we're gonna just take a quick look by refreshing it. And that's how it looks. So yeah, the end isn't that good, but the top of the wood's not bad. Again, less time we spent on it, but you can definitely tell that it is wood, and I don't think it looks too bad for a quick tutorial. And then I think I'm just going to quickly try and do the rock as quick as I can, just because this tutorial's already gone on for a while. For the rock, again, same thing going on. We're just going to go and make the edges lighter than they are. So let me put a new layer above that. Get this kind of, I don't need to steal the colour from here, but it is just a lighter colour, so that's all I wanted to do. So oops, I don't think that's going to undo because it seems to be messed up a little bit. So I'll just paint over that again in this colour, in that colour. Okay, there we go. So now I've got that colour, I will turn transfer back on. And we're just going to go over it lightly around here. You're not going to be able to see it very well underneath the underneath what the colour we just stole, but it should look pretty different from actually on the blue, bluey grey. And again, not spending much time on it because I'm just getting this tutorial done, but showing all the layers that I've put into this. And that's not that noticeable, but I think I'll be fine with that because once you've got it in 3D, it's only a little effect, and it just makes it look more painted, which obviously it is. So then finally, cracks being put into it. Again, I'll take this darker colour, and I'll maybe make the cracks with transfer this time. So no, I'll just use the full colour. Turn off transfer, and shape dynamics I'll have, and just draw in the cracks how you would imagine cracks to go. So different to the wood, we're having it go off a lot more, that splits, and I just think that makes it look a little bit nicer than what it did, rather than drawing it straight along like the wood. The cracks just going to be a little bit more random. Obviously I've got them all going along sideways, so I want a few going kind of up this way. And I think I'm just going to file save that and just, use it how it is. So in Blender this should be refreshed again. And we can see on top of that that's pretty much how it looks. So I'm sorry I kind of stopped doing it as detailed. I wanted to really just focus on the wood there, show you how the cracks were done on that. and then obviously just talk about how the white edges, that's the kind of style that I want to use for my indie game. So, now that I've taken enough time to do that, I just want to say thank you for 2,000 subscribers. I hope you found this tutorial just a little bit useful. I had a few problems along the way with noise outside and, well, generally moving from moving from PC to Mac again was a bit weird. But I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and hopefully you'll find it useful. I just wanted to take a few minutes at the end here just to talk about what my indie game is. So you can quit the video now if you want, but if you want to help me out, then I'm just going to quickly go to Google here and we can see Tiny Dinosaur. That's the name of the indie game company that we've got going. We're going to make a game, kind of, I can't tell you too much about it, but similar to style of Zelda and things like that. And basically we've got any page you can think of on any social network. So all these links are down in the description. If you want to follow Facebook, we're going to post images and things that we're doing. I'm going to post tutorials on what we're doing to the Tiny Dinosaur channel, so if you want to subscribe to that, that would really help us out as well. And then we've also got a Pinterest. So this is probably the most useful one for subscribers, because you can go to, well, you can follow any of these boards. If I put Pinterest Piplington, then you can follow Tiny Dinosaur, which is all the inspiration with all these painted stuff, images, beaches, little houses like that, little streets, and mountains and caves, which is exactly how our landscape's going to be like. And then you've got the cel-shaded Pinterest part, which is actually, we can see here everything I was talking about. So see how it's got a really little light white edge there, which is kind of the effect that I was going for. And then around all these edges here, again, it's lighter. Same with the rock there. This one doesn't have cracks going in and it looks really good. But seriously, like, this whole page is full of painted textures that I'm going to eventually try and paint once I get a little bit more, a little bit better at doing it. And in fact, it turns out that my friend here has pinned a wooden tutorial. That one looks really good, so I suppose you can follow that. It's basically along the same lines, just got to spend a lot more time doing it. So, yeah, I hope you find that useful. All the links will be in the description, and I'll see you next time.